Hey guys, Matthew, and today I want to bring you guys the result of the 100% Delirious test. So for 100%, I decided obviously not to do 5 Delirium orbs. We were going to go straight into fractured maps because I don't see the point of doing 5 random orbs. If you're capable of doing 5 random orbs, you're capable of doing fractured maps. And at that point, it's actually much more worth it to go into some real juice. So let's get into, as always, the methodology. Now, we were running a fractured map, as always. Now, this fractured map is actually not mine. It's used from a friend, so I'll be making another video on how to make your own fractured map from beginning to end, because there is a pretty... you have to be pretty precise and like step by step on how you go about making one of these. But this is the map that I was running, burial chambers. As always, you know, have a chance to get a doctor. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, didn't get any today. We are running 5 breach orbs. On paper, it seems to be the best one to run, even better than scarabs. That being said, I'd have to do a test with scarabs to see if that's actually the case. Now, let's talk about why we have Nemesis mod fractured instead of the typical thing that you'll see a lot of people fracturing, which is Beyond. Otherwise, we have does not consume section charges, which I'm going to get over in a second, and that's about it. It's a 35% quality map. So again, I'll talk about how to make one of those in a video right after this. So if you're interested, check out my next video. It's going to be just a few minutes long. So let's talk about the Watchstones that I'm using. I'm using 4 platinum Watchstones. Now, these are not min-maxed at all. I pretty much just have whatever on there, and quite frankly, I'm probably going to be re-rolling all of them, but I will be keeping the sextants. We are running Alva, so we get we get Alva every single map, which is really good in terms of juice, and also allows us to farm temples. Today, I farmed, I believe, 3 full-on temples in 6 hours of testing, and I wasn't going as fast as I could, really. You know, lots of death due to reading chat and stuff like that. 100% Delirious maps are pretty rippy. Beyond, of course, we are doing double Beyond, 1 on the Watchstone, 1 on the map device, so double Beyond. Nemesis, this is why we actually fracture Nemesis on the map itself, because we don't have Nemesis on the map device, so we can't drop headhunters and all that. But the reason why we fracture it is because it pairs really well with this mod right here. This basically makes it so anytime you kill a Nemesis monster, it drops 3 additional basic currency. Now, basic currency or any non-league mechanic, non-league specific currency, basically. So, you know, alterations, fusings, mirrors, chaos. It literally could be mirrors. I don't think that's ever happened, but, you know, mirrors, exalts, chaos, anything like that, it drops 3 additional. And it's not all the same, so it doesn't mean that if you get 1 exalt, you'll get 3 exalts. It's just 3 additional currency items, which adds up to be a lot of currency, as you'll see in the results. So that's pretty much it in terms of that. Now, for the fragments, I went with a polished Harby, 1.5 C each in bulk, pretty cheap. Polished Breach, 1 C each in bulk. Rusted Legion, I believe those are the more expensive one. I think they were like 5 or 6 chaos in bulk. And a polished ambush. Now, polished ambush is actually flex. You could easily go with a metamorph if your build is capable of killing them quickly. Cast on crit on a fairly small budget is not super good at single targets, so that's not super great for me. So I went with just ambush. It adds a decent amount of monsters to your map. The map is already an elder base, as you can see right here. So no reason to go with like a shaper scarab or anything like that. It's already elder. That's pretty much it for the methodology. Now let's get into the results, and you will see what we're looking at. So our tabs linked to the actual link to the test, which was our dump tab, our money tab, our fragment, delirious, and fossil tabs. As you can see, 9,672 chaos. Now this is not at all pure profit, so we do have to do some math here. So let's go ahead and look at our initial investment. Our initial investment was 21 exalts. Now 21 exalts is the price that I bought my first 10 copies for, so 10 fractured fossils at 2 exalts each, and then I bought the fee is like 10C to fracture one of these maps from somebody else, so like 21 exalt was basically like a pretty fair number at 81 chaos each. So this, and then also add that. Now the thing is though, this 21 exalt is actually a bit less because as you saw, I have 2 of these maps remaining. The reason for that is because they have elemental reflect, which I cannot run. So what I'm going to do is once I have 3 of them, I'm going to throw on a sextant, a watchstone with a sextant of, you know, reflect, immune to reflect basically, and that's going to allow us to run those reflect maps. So they're not lost or anything, we just have to remove them from this 21 exalts. So realistically it's 17 exalts that we have to look at here, times again 81, and then we have to add that on top of 3,730 chaos, our initial investment, and I just multiplied that. Oops, my bad. 17 times 81 plus 3,730 for a total of 5,000 chaos. Now we actually have to go ahead and remove that from our ending total, which was 9,672, and this is kind of a profit. Now there's also a little bit extra that we would have to add that went into things like different uniques, like pretty whatever uniques, right? Like pretty cheap stuff, and also some bases, some Crusader bases, stuff like that for Explodey and whatever. So we would have to add those, but they only amounted to like 100 chaos. So honestly, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and ignore them. So what I'm gonna do here is take this number, which this is actually our pure profit. Now, if we take this pure profit and we divide it by the current price of exalts, which is 81 chaos, that means that we made a total profit of 56 exalt over the span of 6 hours for a total of 9.4 exalt pure profit per hour. Now, note that I removed all of the fluff as always. If we go ahead and check at the actual currency gains, you'll see that there's only a few different tabs, and it's all very easy to sell things. So the bulk of the money comes from, again, simulacrums. We only farmed 8 of them, which is actually very interesting. We actually got more simulacrums yesterday in the 80% Delirious, and that is very simple. It's a very easy reason for that, very simple reason, and that is basically just because these maps are very long to clear and they take a long time to loot, especially those Nemesis 3 additional currency. That, look at how many alteration. I started the day with about 600 alteration. I picked up over 1,000 alteration over the course of 6 hours, which some people would say is inefficient, but I made 500 chaos off of that. So just off of alterations, I was making pretty much an exalt per hour, which is nearly as much as I made from Chiyula Breachstones over the course of the same 6 hours, which is pretty insane. Simulacrums accounting, of course, for the majority of that. Exalts. So let's talk about exalts. Since you'll see here in the calculations, I didn't include anything considered to be lucky because I didn't drop anything that was lucky, and dropping exalts at this point is actually completely normal. If you're not dropping exalts when you're farming super juiced up 100% maps, there's an issue. You are going to get an exalt pretty much almost every single map. If not every single map, let's just say 4 out of 5 maps, if you're running the exact setup that I just showed you guys, you are going to be getting 1 exalt. A lot of them are going to be coming from the Nemesis mod, but also just because of the raw amount of monsters in the map, so pretty decent there. We also made quite a bit of money off of Olnathol's Breachstone. They're very sought after as well, because of the shield, the anticipation. And one thing to note here as well is that a lot of these currencies that we made some decent money off of are actually not considered bulk. So this doesn't really apply to things like fusing too much, but for example, Olnathol's Breachstones or Chiyula Breachstones or even alterations, you can sell them for more in bulk, which is something that the excellence does not account for. So this profit per hour here is actually probably closer to 10 exalts per hour. So over the span of a day, if you were to start real early and then just blast for your entire day farming these maps, you could actually pretty much earn yourself, you know, up to 100 exalts, which is absolutely insane. Now, this is pretty much what I was honestly expecting. I don't think this is better than what I was expecting, but it's definitely not worse either. The Chiyula Breachstones do make up for a bit of the a fair bit. Now, the simulacrums do seem to be in a free fall right now. They're still dropping. They're like down to 1.2, 1.3x in bulk, which is very unfortunate. Quick tip: if your build is capable of farming simulacrums, they are insane for profit right now. A lot of people are playing these poison, sexton abusing builds, and these builds are not capable of farming simulacrums. But if your build can, man, there's a lot of money to be made there. that's pretty much all I have for this video, honestly. Pretty happy about the results. Going to keep blasting those until I make the perfect build the way I want to be making the build that I'm currently playing. I've got another few hundred exalts to put into it before I'm really happy with it. And at that point, I'll be releasing a guide on the budget version, medium version, and then the endgame version. And then the super endgame version for like swapping over to CI and all that, but that'll be for another video. So before I go though, I want to say a huge thank you to my supporters: Johnny, Michael, Cluzies, Rashi, Luro, Gaikona, JW Player, Scott, Justin, Alex, Ollie, Matt, Kevin, Hayden, Bitizen, and Axel, as well as, of course, anybody else who wishes to remain anonymous and anybody else who has supported me in the past. Be on the lookout for that next video if you're interested in learning how to make one of those map bases yourself, because people will pay you to be able to fracture your map. On that note, that'll be Matthew signing out. Until the next one. Peace.